In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college basketball games happening on February 23, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college basketball games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Connecticut versus St. John's. The Huskies are heading to Manhattan this Sunday to face off against the Red Storm at Madison Square Garden. Connecticut, the 2-time defending NCAA champions, comes into this game with an 18-8 record for the season. Meanwhile, St. John's has been on a roll, winning their last 2 games and currently sitting at the top of the Big East standings. Coming into the season, many expected the Huskies to dominate the Big East. But it's Rick Pitino's St. John's squad that has taken control of the conference. With a solid 2-game lead and only 4 games left to play, the Johnnies are in a strong position. When these 2 teams faced off earlier this month, St. John's walked away with a 68-62 victory at Connecticut. Looking back at that first matchup, it's interesting to see how things played out. Connecticut executed their game plan almost perfectly, yet still lost by 6 points. The Huskies prefer a slower, methodical pace, and the game stayed in the 60s, which suits their style. Connecticut is known for defending the 3-point line well, and St. John's struggles from deep. They only made 4 3-pointers in that game. Connecticut also dominated the boards, out-rebounding St. John's 41-27, which was far more lopsided than expected. The Huskies shot more free throws, made more threes, and blocked more shots. The only area where St. John's had the upper hand was turnovers, with an 18-6 edge, which isn't surprising given their strong ball security. Despite everything going Connecticut's way, St. John's still won by 6. Now, the game shifts to New York, where the Johnnies are a perfect 16-0 this season and have won 12 of their last 13 games overall. While Madison Square Garden holds a lot of historical significance for Connecticut, I don't think it gives St. John's a true home court advantage here. That said, it's worth noting that this Connecticut team isn't the same dominant force we've seen in years past. There are some red flags for the Huskies as they head into tournament season. Their performance against Villanova was concerning, and you could argue they were lucky to escape with a win. I still believe St. John's is the team to beat in the Big East, and I think they'll come out on top and cover the spread at MSG. So the St. John's Red Storm to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Although these are the 2 highest scoring teams in the Big East, their first matchup was a low-scoring affair, finishing well under the total. In fact, the under has hit in 3 of their last 4 meetings. Both teams are also among the top 5 in the conference in points allowed per game, which explains the defensive battles. They're also the top 2 rebounding teams in the Big East, so second chance points will be hard to come by. In their first game, the 2 teams combined for just 29 second chance points. Connecticut will likely try to slow the game down even more, as they don't want St. John's to push the pace and play fast. The Huskies are one of the slowest teams in the nation, ranking 335th in pace of play. In the first matchup, the 2 teams combined for only 18 fast break points. St. John's has managed to offset their offensive struggles with elite defense. They come into this game ranked 2nd in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency, allowing just 89 points per 100 possessions. With Louis J.R. out, expect Coach Pitino to rely even more on his team's defensive strengths. On the other hand, Connecticut ranks 94th in adjusted defensive efficiency, giving up 103 points per 100 possessions. What really stands out, though, is how slow they play. The Huskies are 336th in adjusted tempo, averaging just 64.2 possessions per 40 minutes. This game should be a gritty, physical battle where every point is hard-earned. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Purdue versus Indiana. The Indiana Hoosiers are set to face off against the Purdue Boilermakers this Sunday in a highly anticipated Big Ten rivalry game. The 2 teams previously met on January 31st in West Lafayette, where Purdue came out on top with an 81-76 victory. This rematch promises to be another intense battle as both teams look to gain an edge in the conference standings. Sunday's matchup in Bloomington is shaping up to be one of the most compelling games on the college basketball schedule. The Hoosiers, who have struggled recently by losing 6 of their last 7 games, find themselves in a precarious position regarding their NCAA tournament hopes. While their chances aren't completely dashed, they'll need a strong finish to the season to climb back into contention. A win against their arch rivals, Purdue, would be a significant step in the right direction. The first meeting between these teams was a close contest, with Purdue narrowly escaping with a win at home. This time around, Purdue enters the game on a bit of a slide, which could make Indiana the more appealing pick for many, especially with the Hoosiers playing on their home court. Purdue, however, is coming off back-to-back tough losses to Wisconsin and Michigan State, which has exposed some vulnerabilities in their game. Despite this, the Boilermakers still hold some key advantages, particularly on the offensive end. Indiana's defense has been inconsistent, ranking outside the top 75 in adjusted efficiency since the start of the year. This could open the door for Purdue's Trey Kaufman-Renn to have a standout performance. His ability to stretch the floor could pull Indiana's big men, Almer Ballo and Malik Renaud, away from the paint, creating opportunities for Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and the rest of Purdue's offense. On the flip side, Indiana's offense has struggled with turnovers and three-point shooting, ranking outside the top 250 in three-point percentage since conference play began. These issues make it hard to see Indiana replicating the success that Wisconsin and Michigan State had against Purdue. Additionally, the drop in competition level should help Purdue regain some confidence. When these two teams last met in late January, Purdue secured a 5-point victory as 12-point favorites at home. While the Boilermakers are generally considered the stronger team, rivalry games often defy expectations. Purdue's recent form has been shaky, with 3 consecutive losses, their first such streak of the season. However, those losses came against ranked opponents, and Indiana doesn't fall into that category. The Hoosiers have struggled at home lately, losing their last 4 games at Assembly Hall. Their offense has also sputtered, failing to score more than 72 points in their last 4 games. Purdue, on the other hand, has been solid on the road this season, posting a 6-3 record against the spread. They've also won their last 3 matchups against Indiana, both straight up and against the spread. Despite Purdue's recent struggles, Indiana's current form is even more concerning, and I believe the Boilermakers can bounce back with a win on Sunday. Purdue has won the last 3 head-to-head meetings and has scored 79 or more points in each of those games. While Indiana has a respectable 11-4 home record, they've lost their last 4 games at Assembly Hall, presenting a prime opportunity for Purdue to capitalize and secure a much-needed victory. So the Purdue Boilermakers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. When it comes to scoring, both teams are middle of the pack in the Big Ten. Their first meeting saw a combined 157 points, easily surpassing the 144-point total. Purdue's tempo ranks 287th in KenPom, so they aren't likely to turn this into a fast-paced game. Over their last 3 games, the Boilermakers have averaged 74 points, and in 5 of their last 10 games, they've scored 73 points or fewer. Indiana plays at a slightly faster pace, ranking 129th in tempo, but that hasn't translated to success recently. The Hoosiers have been held under 70 points in 3 of their last 4 games and have scored 71 or fewer in 7 of their last 10. Historically, 5 of the last 8 matchups between these teams have resulted in 150 points or fewer. The total for this game is set higher than usual for this rivalry, as the last 10 meetings have had totals below 150. However, there's good reason for the higher number this time. Both teams have shown they can score, and their up-tempo styles led to 157 points in their first meeting. Purdue managed to score 81 points in that game despite making only 2 3-pointers, well below their season average of 8 per game. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Ohio State versus UCLA. The Big Ten is set for an exciting conference showdown this Sunday as the Ohio State Buckeyes take on the UCLA Bruins. Ohio State is struggling, having lost their last 2 games and sitting at a modest 15-12 record for the season. Meanwhile, UCLA is looking to bounce back after a tough home loss to Minnesota earlier in the week. This weekend's Big Ten matchup presents one of the most intriguing situational spots as Ohio State travels to the West Coast to face UCLA in Southern California. On paper, Ohio State appears to be a top 40 team this season, but their performance has been inconsistent, especially during conference play. Recently, they suffered a heartbreaking loss to Michigan, where they showed they could compete at a high level, only to follow it up with a disappointing home defeat to Northwestern as heavy favorites. Now, they face the challenge of traveling across the country and playing less than 72 hours after that loss. UCLA, on the other hand, is coming off a rough home loss to Minnesota on Tuesday, which likely made for a tense week of of practice under head coach Mick Cronin. Expect the Bruins to come out motivated and ready to respond in this game. Historically, Big Ten teams have struggled in their first game when traveling to the West Coast, and Ohio State's road performance this season doesn't inspire much confidence. The Buckeyes have had significant issues away from home and rank near the bottom of the Big Ten in offensive turnover rate. This could spell trouble against a UCLA team that thrives defensively by pressuring opponents, forcing turnovers, and converting those into points. On the offensive side, UCLA is due for some positive regression as their shooting percentages from both inside and outside the arc have been subpar lately, despite creating good looks. Additionally, Ohio State has been vulnerable at the free throw line, ranking 315th in free throw rate allowed over the past month. This suggests UCLA can still find ways to score even if their half-court offense stalls. Ohio State's road record this season is just 3-5, while UCLA has been dominant at home with a 13-2 record. The Buckeyes have lost 3 of their last 4 games and seem to be running out of steam as the season winds down. Their second half collapse against Minnesota highlighted a team that looked fatigued and worn down. Compounding their issues, several Ohio State players, including forward Aaron Bradshaw and guard Kobe Ballman, are battling the flu as they head to California. The Buckeyes have also failed to cover the spread in 3 of their last 4 games. UCLA, meanwhile, is aiming for their 20th win of the season and boasts the Big Ten's top-ranked scoring defense. Before their stumble against Minnesota, the Bruins had covered the spread in their last 3 games. They'll be eager to rebound on Sunday against an Ohio State team that's clearly struggling. So the UCLA Bruins to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Defense is where UCLA truly shines. They rank 19th nationally in adjusted defensive efficiency, allowing just 95.2 points per 100 possessions. Ohio State isn't far behind at 36th, but the gap is noticeable. Both teams also prefer a slower pace of play. UCLA is 313th in adjusted tempo, averaging only 65 possessions per 40 minutes, while Ohio State is slightly faster at 181st. UCLA has gone under the total in 4 of their last 5 games, thanks in large part to their elite defense, which leads the Big Ten in scoring defense. Offensively, the Bruins are just 15th in the conference in points per game and ranked 315th nationally in pace of play. They prefer to grind out games rather than engage in high-scoring affairs. Ohio State, dealing with a flu outbreak and the challenges of a cross-country trip, is unlikely to push the tempo on Sunday. The Buckeyes have also gone under the total in their last 2 games. All signs point to a defensive battle in this one. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.